Tom. I'd come to him first, and then I'll.
Why is the United States building a port off the coast of Gaza when there's a perfectly good one about a 30-mile drive further north, in fact, a major international container port?
So we are looking to build, or exploring a maritime option to get humanitarian assistance into Gaza, because the other options have not proven sufficient so far, is the bottom line answer to that question. So we have providing airdrops. So we've been providing those over the past little over a week to get emergency assistance in, and we are exploring a maritime option to get additional assistance in. But I should be clear, and you've heard me say this and others from the administration say that it is no substitute for assistance continuing to come in over land. And so we'll continue to push for it to come over land. Now, whether that comes through Ashdod port and then travels over land, or it comes through Jordan or comes from Egypt, ultimately doesn't actually matter. It matters it matters that it gets into Gaza, whether it comes through a port or another means. So we're going to push to see the land routes expanded. What we are doing is to supplement that, not replace it.
But I mean, it's turned what is a political issue into a logistical one. This is not about, trying to get into some remote region of the world with a natural disaster. This is a place that is very easily accessible. And you talked about the current situation you haven't been able to get to sufficiently. That means you haven't been able to persuade the Israelis to let enough aid in over land and to secure its distribution. So why is that still a problem?
So I will say that, first of all, we have seen some modest improvements in the humanitarian situation and the distribution of aid over the past few days. We've seen trucks able to move around the southern part of Gaza with more freedom than they were able to do, say, a week or 10 days ago. We've seen additional trucks move to the north of Gaza from the south. We saw for the first time flour released from Ashdod and make its way into Gaza, something we have been supporting for some time. And we saw the government of Israel agree to open additional crossings. So yes, they need to do more. We've seen an improvement, but we think they need to continue to do more. And so that's what we're going to continue to push them to do.
I mean, it does just come back to this fundamental point about leverage. And when you're providing the amount of military aid that you're providing, in fact, there's the 1961 Foreign Assistance Act says that humanitarian aid should not be blocked by countries that are recipients of military aid from the United States. And it will seem extraordinary still that leverage cannot be brought to bear when the UN is now saying, malnutrition is so severe, they're quoting that 25 people have died now.
Well, first of all, it is the intervention of the United States that has led humanitarian assistance to go into Gaza in the first place. Secretary Blinken has engaged on this consistently in his meetings and his phone calls with leaders of the government of Israel. The President of the United States has been involved in this. The President of the United States traveled to Israel and submitted a deal that Secretary Blinken initially reached to allow Rafah to open in the first place, and it was our intervention that that got Kerem Shalom to open, and it is our intervention that has led to the government of Israel agree to open additional crossings into Gaza. So it is the work of the United States that has led to an improvement in the humanitarian assistance situation. Now, that improvement hasn't been enough, and that's why we continue to engage consistently at the highest levels of the government of Israel, and that's why the President continues to speak out on this, and that's why the Secretary continues to speak out on this, and that's what we will keep doing. Humera, go ahead.
Thank you, Matt. Has the Israeli government presented Biden administration with a humanitarian and/or military plan for Rafah?
They have not.